Reverend Lawson, please unmute yourself. We still are not able to hear you, Reverend Lawson.
I'm grateful for the privilege of being here at Fresno State for this webinar. Again, I want to express my appreciation for all who've planned it. The Peace Garden, which I saw several years ago for the first time, needs to be seen as a wonderful piece of the curriculum of Fresno State. In lifting up the statues, you have a place for walking and a place for thinking, and I would like to urge students of the campus to walk in that garden daily or every other day, to use it as a place of meditation, and to use it as a place also of shaping who you are and the gift of life that is in you and the people in the Peace Garden and others. And let the Peace Garden be a tool helping you to shape your own vocation and calling and your own young adulthood as you proceed in life itself. We do this in a time when the United States has experienced perhaps the largest and finest nonviolent movement in our USA history. Over 700 cities have had these demonstrations for the discussion of how, in a democracy, police should operate. A discussion that the nation has never had. And also a discussion about why we as a people in the USA have continued to allow police to be executioner of our citizens without question, when we insist we're a nation of law. I want to lift up the fact that in the midst of this massive nonviolent campaign, there are elements of violence. The cultures represent that. But then there are the Antifa people and the anarchist groups, both organized groups in many places around the country, that think that little bits and pieces of violence, sabotage, fighting the police is important for social change. They are absolutely wrong. They are more a part of a world culture of violence than they are a part of any movement for the emancipation of life from the shackles of hurt and brokenness. And then there are the looters. And I'm going to say something very harsh. The folk who want to call Mahatma Gandhi a racist are really to be classified in the category of the looters. Criminal elements coming to the foreground, using the cover of a movement to put their point of view on display. They are terribly wrong. They are the enemies of all movements in the United States for social justice, political justice, for gender justice, for cultural justice, and for ending our culture of violence. I recall in 1947 when I first read the Gandhi autobiography, I found in that book no traces of racism. The book was already a book against casteism and racism, against the crippling of any segment of humanity. I also discovered in 47 then that any number of black leaders had gone to India for various meetings and made a deliberate effort to meet and see and talk with Gandhi about Gandhi's work in South Africa and in India, and how that work influenced and affected their thinking of how to end the rapaciousness of our society that was trying to become a totally segregated society, a totally unjust and unfair place. I read, for example, about Dr. Benjamin Mays, president of Morehouse College, Dr. Mordecai Johnson, president of Howard University. I read about Bishop Eddie Carroll, a United Methodist bishop, who went with Dr. Howard Thurman to visit with Gandhi in 1935. In the United States itself, there were people like Dr. Charles Lawrence, a host of others. The Nelson brothers, who were friends of mine in Ohio, were massively influenced by the Gandhian perspective of love, nonviolence, and tactics of social change that did not have to use hate or fear at all. These men are all men who knew racism in the United States at its core. And yet they saw in Gandhi a pioneering figure in the world who gave them hope and directions for changing this country of the United States of America. The other thing I want to say about this is that I read in the late 40s about the African National Congress, its organization in South Africa. Albert Luthuli, later people like Bishop Tutu, all of whom sought to organize their movement out of an apartheid society and out of colonies into their own national development and use the nonviolent philosophy and tactics as their major form of pushing for this change. I would say very boldly that Gandhi was a pioneer against every social, political, economic, violent spectrum that was hurting people anywhere in the world. He was a pioneer against caste and racism. And to try to mark him in something different from that is a crime against humanity, in my own judgment. Through the nonviolent methods I learned from Gandhi, and I was able to move south at the invitation of Dr. King, and then to teach massive numbers of people all across the South how to use love, nonviolence, truth, not only to bear the slings and arrows of racism, but then to resist it and end it. The nonviolent paradigm is a call to Western civilization, and especially to my country, the United States, to move from violence as a power for social political domination and change to nonviolence. Both Dr. King and Mahatma Gandhi insisted that the world must go in the path of nonviolence, soul force, if we of the human race are not to destroy ourselves. Martin Luther King put it this way: coexistence, co-annihilation. The role of Gandhian theory and methodology was a massive blessing to the United States. And if we can urge our further understanding and preparation, using what is going on primarily in the nonviolent campaign today, we will make the change that our nation needs. Through nonviolence, the human race can not simply survive, but live. This is the contribution that Mohandas K. Gandhi has made. and will continue to make. Good. I'm finished.
Thank you so much, Reverend Lawson, for your wise words. Dr. Vinala, please.